Hi, my name is Kristen and this is Kristen Craves Book. I am alone at my parents' condo by the beach. They are out for the night, so I figured what better opportunity than to do a 24-hour reading vlog. I doubt it'll be full 24 hours. I just want to use this time to get some reading in and just do a ton of bookish things because I have to film a couple videos, have to edit the videos. I need to catch up on booktube, but desperately, because when you're spending time with family and at the beach and stuff, that really cuts into your reading and booktube consuming time, so I need to catch up on that. So really my main focus is going to be to listen to Bookshops and Bonedust by Travis Baldree. I was just approved for an ALC from NetGalley and I may have screamed. They approved me for that one and Thornhedge by T. Kingfisher at the exact same time. It was like the most perfect day for me. And I was lying on the beach when I got that email. It was just bliss. I was thrilled. So of course I stopped everything and I listened to Thornhedge. You'll hear all my gushy thoughts about that in my wrap up. And now I am ready for this one. So obviously this is the prequel to Legends and Lattes and everybody seems to be loving it already. I cannot wait to dive into it. And it says that the audiobook is 8 hours. I listen on 2.5 or 2 times speed, just depends on the narrator really. So it should take me around 4 hours, which is nothing. So that leaves me a lot of time to do some other stuff. It is a rainy day, so I don't think I'll be taking you out too much. Maybe I'll walk down to the beach at some point just to show you. And the coffee place down the street does do donuts on Fridays, and today's Thursday, so I will go there tomorrow morning first thing to get those because they have a Barbie themed one. And you know I need the Barbie donut. So that'll be happening, and then other than that, I'm just gonna lounge here, probably play some Sims. The new Sims pack with the horses came out, and I always love the horses in the Sims, so I'll probably do some of that. You know what else has been cutting into my reading time? Love Island. And this season, it's so early, it's hard to say if I like it or not. I do prefer the UK Love Island, but Love Island consumes my summer because it's pretty much every night that it's on, and it's on at 9. So that's like when I would start to read at night, but now I have to watch Love Island. So yeah, that is the plan for today. So I'm gonna film my August TBR now and my wrap up where I'm vlogging my wrap up as I finish my books, but I'm like 3 books behind at this point, but I find that style is really helping me. I just need to be better. I'm so jealous of all these people who have these resets and they're so organized, and that is not me. I need to, how hard could it be for me to mark down and check off the books that I have read and talked about in a video? It shouldn't be that hard, but no, I have to go look back on footage, see where I am. I just need to get more organized, but you all are inspiring me because I watch all those reset videos and I love them. So we will film my August TBR now, and then I will update you later, maybe when I make something to eat because I am starving. I am only 3 chapters into Bookshops and Bonedust, and I forgot how much I love this. I think when you think of Legends and Lattes, it's easy just to remember the vibes and the making of the cafe and obviously Thimble and that stuff, but I forgot how much I appreciate Viv as a character, and I have a feeling we're gonna get to know her a lot more considering this is a prequel. So right now it starts off that she's injured and she is now like in this hotel and having to recover there, so she's obviously going to be here throughout the story, so it's going to be cozy in that way, because I was wondering how this was going to be cozy considering it's a prequel and she was an orc barbarian who killed people, and that at the start of Legends and Lattes it's her retiring from that life. So I was thinking, well, how is this going to be a cozy fantasy when her life at that time really was not cozy? But obviously you're going to get that vibe in here. I love Travis Baldree's narration, so I'm so happy that I have the audiobook for this, and it's just making me so happy. And of course, because I was reading this, I had to make, I don't want to spill this on my computer, that would be a nightmare. I had to make myself a coffee, and it's pumpkin spice latte. It's never too early for that, is it? I know it's July, but I found some pumpkin spice K-pods in the cupboard and I went for it. And I also have this little cupcake that I bought yesterday. I think this is blueberry lemon cheesecake or something. Looks delicious. And Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany is about to do a reaction live stream. I love those. It's the 40 most read books of 2023 according to Goodreads. It's like a Goodreads challenge or something. So I think that'll be interesting to watch. So I'm gonna sit here, watch that. It starts in 5 minutes. Drink my coffee, eat my cupcake, and then I'll get back to Bookshops and Bonedust, but everybody's posting. Cassidy just posted her August TBR. Kayla just posted a video. Erin just posted a video. So many people are posting today, and it is distracting, but I'll definitely get through this because I just love it. It brings me so much joy. I feel like you can see it, like my heart just warms. It's just that kind of book, and I haven't read a cozy fantasy like that in a minute. This is going to be a non-spoilery vlog, so my updates are going to be very vague. But if you look at the cover, you see there's a little ratkin character. We just met him, and it's already so sweet. And I just love all the side characters that Viv is meeting already. And she just like devoured a book. She's not a big reader, but she sat there all day reading this book. I just love it. I just love it. It's so stinking sweet. And the internet here is so bad that I bought a router. So I have to plug this in and continue listening. Don't be surprised if you just see me sitting here for hours on end. And it's just making me so happy. There was sun for a second, but it looks like it's gonna rain again, which I won't complain about because I just want, that'll just like complete the cozy vibe that I've got going on right now. And my pumpkin spice latte, amazing. And my cupcake, amazing. And the live show was really interesting. Those Goodreads lists are always really interesting. And this one just looked at the top 40 books, the most popular books on Goodreads this year, like ones that people have put into their Goodreads challenge, and it's pretty much what you would expect it to be. So Colleen Hoover, Taylor Jenkins Reid, Sarah J. Maas, who else is there? Some Lucy Score, lots of TikTok books, things that were book of the month, books that you would have seen around a lot. So, but it was an interesting discussion, and I always like these reactions to Goodreads lists. I always find them fascinating for some reason. But yeah, now I'm gonna get back to reading my book and putting in this router. I'm 20% into the audiobook, of course, loving it. It's following some of the same plot beats as Legends and Lattes. Like, if what you loved about Legends and Lattes was the opening of the coffee shop and starting it and building it and all that stuff, we're getting that a little bit in this because Viv is starting to help the Ratkin refurbish their bookshop, like redecorate it, renovate it, and try and bring in more business. So we're just getting glimpses of that right now. She's just giving the Ratkin some ideas while also reading, so that is fun. What else is also great about this, it's perfect for me right now because it's set in a beach town, and I'm in a small beach town too, so I'm living my inner Viv, just without all the sword fighting. And Viv is a fantasy lover. She loves reading books where there is sword fighting, obviously, but the Ratkin's kind of trying to push her out of her comfort zone. Anyways, it's just so sweet. But something I was thinking about in terms of prequels, the nature of prequels makes me think there aren't as high stakes. I know low stakes, that was a big conversations about Legends and Lattes, and low stakes in cozy fantasy in general. But when you're reading a prequel, I would think it'd be harder to get invested for some people because you know Viv's story. You know that she's not going to stay in this beach town forever and stay with these characters forever. And to me, that's kind of sad because I love these characters, even though I love the characters in Legends and Lattes. But maybe some people would stop themselves from getting so invested, or you feel a sense of detachment because you know that these aren't going to be forever friends for her. So I don't know, that is a little bit sad for me, and I think that's just kind of true for prequels like this. So I don't know, but I'm still loving it. It's just something that I was thinking about as I was reading it. Like, would that affect your rating? I don't think it'll affect mine, but is it something that would go through your head where you know that this is not her forever story? So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I am somebody who reads some books sometimes, and I can feel myself detaching from them because either it's going in a really sad direction and I just don't want to get deeply invested. I did that with A Little Life. I didn't love A Little Life that much because I knew it was just going to be a heartbreaker, so I detached myself from the characters. I'm not doing that in this. I don't do that in cozies as much, but I can see why readers would. So that's just something that I was thinking about. But cute, adorable, sweet, bringing me so much joy. Got the internet router working, so that is good. Still looking a little bit rainy, I think I'm going to pull up The Sims, continue listening to this. Kind of in the mood for reading sprints, but none are happening yet. So I'll just have to wait for somebody. I know every day there's reading sprints. I just have to wait for somebody to come on. Here, and I'm now 60% of the way through. I'm obsessed with this pug owl named Pot Roast. It's making me want to get a new cat and name it Pot Roast. I think that is the cutest name ever, and we are getting conversations about how Viv knows that this isn't forever, so that is interesting. And I think there's something to be said about just getting this slice of life look at one of her journeys throughout her life, just these few days of her life and what that meant to her, because it's becoming more and more apparent how this part of her life influenced where she ends up in Legends and Lattes. And I just think it's really, really cute. And I have a cat coming to see me. Let's see if he'll jump up. Here he is. This is my little companion while I read today. And I actually have an ASMR room on, and he finds that fascinating. So that is his entertainment for today while I listen to this book that I'm absolutely loving. So look at his little face. Maybe I'll change your name from Coffee to Pot Roast. What do you think? Although the name Coffee does really go well with the theme of Legends and Lattes, so maybe we'll keep it. So it is 7 o'clock, 5-2, and I moved from the chair over there to the couch just to mix it up a little bit. And I finished Bookshops and Bonedust, and I will say that the epilogue got to me. I teared up a little bit. It was just so sweet. So overall, this was fantastic. I'm giving it 5 stars. I absolutely adored it. I do think you have to be okay with prequels to like this. You have to be okay with going into it knowing that these people are going to separate, that this is not the end to Viv's story. This is not her happily ever after. And I was fine with that because that's just the nature of a prequel, but that was in the back of my mind a little bit. But it's still 5 stars. So stinking cute. Pot Roast, one of my favorite characters. I loved him. I loved the relationships that she made with all of these people. It's just kind of very much slice of life, but I do think that there was more plot in this one than in Legends and Lattes. I do think in that way the stakes felt higher. And there was more action scenes and a bit of a mystery going on as well. So I did think that Travis Baldree took this to a different place. It still had that cozy vibe. Obviously it's set in a bookstore. It's about renovating a bookstore, getting people to shop at this bookstore, introducing people to books, much like Viv introduces people to coffee in Legends and Lattes. So you have all of that in the backdrop of this sort of mystery that's going down. So absolutely adored it. I think if you are a Legends and Lattes lover, you are going to be happy with this. It's going to live up to your expectations. At least it did for me. But when it comes to cozy fantasy, I'm easily pleased. I just want to feel like it's a warm hug. That's definitely what I got here, with some more action-packed scenes, with memorable characters that you want to root for. And yeah, the epilogue, sure, the epilogue did feel a little bit fan servicey, but I don't care. I ate it up. I ate it up, loved it, teared up, 5 stars. And then I was like, I know I was gonna tell you that I was just gonna read that book for this vlog, but it's only 7 o'clock. And I went to an independent bookstore yesterday and I bought Days at the Murasaki Bookshop, and this is a Japanese translated book, and I just think that this kind of fits the vibe of the theme I have going on. It is a book set in a bookshop, and it's so short that I can definitely read it in this vlog. So I'm not ready to stop yet. I am going to take a break. I might edit a few videos or watch some YouTube, but I thought that this would be worth trying. I know that this is a popular author in Japan, but this is his first book to be translated into English, and it just came out in June or July. So I want to tell you if it's any good, and I'm a sucker for these kind of things. At this same bookstore last year, I bought, I haven't read it yet, but I still need to get to that, another Japanese translated book called The Cat Who Saved Books. So again, it is a bookstore book with cats. So there are 2 cats on this cover. So we will see if they actually make an appearance, because sometimes I feel like they just slap a cat on the cover because they know people like me will buy them just because we're cat lovers, and that marketing works for me. So we'll see how I feel about this. It should only take me a couple hours, so let's do this. And I need to think about dinner, but I'm really not that hungry. I've been snacking, to be honest with you, so we'll see if I make a full meal, but let me edit a video and then start this. It is the next day. As predicted, I did very little reading of this book because Love Island was on and it was very dramatic. And then I ended up on Reddit reading everybody else's thoughts on it, and then I fell asleep. So, and my brother also called me. So I just did not have that much time to read, but now I'm 5 chapters in to Days of the Murasaki Bookshop. And it's funny to think of how this parallels book. I always want to say Legends and Lattes. I have to get this in my head. It's Bookshops and Bonedust. How it parallels that book, because though they're completely different, obviously Bookshops and Bonedust is fantasy and we're following an orc. This one is very much contemporary, just following a young woman. And the way that they parallel one another is that they both kind of end up in this bookshop against their will. Neither of them are readers, and then they find a love of reading. And I just kind of love that. And I like that in both of them, neither of the main characters really romanticized reading, because as much as I love books about books, they can feel a little fan servicey because obviously readers love to read. So you're gonna connect to characters like that, but in these ones, these are not readers. In this book, she's not a voracious reader. She just can't sleep one night. She's surrounded by books. She reads one, now she devours them and she loves them. And I like the setup of this. It starts with a woman, she's just working in an office. She is dating a co-worker, and he sits her down one day and tells her that he's getting married. And obviously not to her, but to a fellow co-worker that she had no idea he was even dating. So she ends up quitting her job, has nowhere to go, and her uncle, who owns this bookstore that runs in their family, it's a family-owned bookstore, I think her great-grandfather started it, invites her to come live there, and she can just work at the bookstore and then live there rent-free. So she is reluctant to do that because she is not close to her uncle. She is not a reader. She walks into the bedroom and it's full of books and she's annoyed. But now things are slowly coming together for her. She's fallen in love with reading. She's meeting a few more people in the community. She's starting to understand her uncle a little bit more. He's also single, and she's learning about his life and how his past relationship failed and what he was doing at her age. And he's her uncle, but he's not that much older than her. She says, like, growing up, he was almost like an older brother. So it's sweet to see their relationship. So there's something just about Japanese translated literature that seems to work for me. I'm loving this. Obviously, I started the year with Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which I really liked. One of my favorite books is Convenience Store Women. I just like the way that Japanese authors seem to write about humanity. So yes, for such a short book, I am finding myself deeply invested already, and I just think that this is great. So it's interesting to think of how it is similar in some ways to Bookshops and Bonedust, but obviously quite different. But if you're a reader who loves books about reading, pick both of them up because they're great. To be honest with you, it's a few days later and I just haven't had an opportunity to wrap this vlog up. And I did finish the book, and honestly I just don't have too much to say about it. I think that's because it is on the shorter side, and it is divided into 2 parts, and I very much preferred part 1. And part 1 is the one that I talked about before, where we are following this young woman who moves into this bookstore with her uncle, who she's not really close to. She's not a book lover, but then over time she falls in love with reading. She falls in love with this community, with the bookstore, and with her uncle. Her and her uncle really form a bond. But then part 2 is a few years later, and she's no longer living at the bookstore, and for some reason I can't tell you, she comes back, and I just wasn't as invested in that storyline or the relationships that were happening in there. I didn't quite understand why certain characters made certain decisions and why forgiveness was so easily given. But yes, it felt so disjointed, and it lost like the charm and the sweetness that I really just expected from this and was loving in part 1. So in the end, I ended up giving it 3 stars, but I would still recommend it. It is a quick read. I really do like Japanese translated fiction. Just in general, from what I have read, they really do look at humanity in a way that I just connect with, and I think it's interesting just to explore how humans interact with one another and the relationships we build. So that is that, and I know that this is this author's first work that has been translated into English, but I think he's got a huge backlist. So I will try something if I decide to translate something else, because I did like the story that was told in here. So overall, that was a really successful reading vlog. You know, I adored Bookshops and Bonedust, and I really liked this. It was a fun, quick read for me, a solid 3 stars. So yeah, we had a 5-star, a 3 stars, 2 books about bookstores and following characters who are not initially readers but fall in love with reading. So of course I'm a sucker for that. And yeah, I think if you are a huge Legends and Lattes fan, you are not going to be disappointed. And I just cannot wait to see whatever Travis Baldry writes next, because I think I saw on Twitter that he just signed a pretty big book deal, which is very exciting, and I highly recommend the audiobook because he's a fantastic narrator even before he was an author. So I will wrap this up, and hopefully you'll see a few more vlogs from me in the near future. I'm hoping to do a vampire themed vlog next, so hopefully you'll see that in August or September, early September. So thank you all for your support. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.